Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of the Basketball Fiends podcast, brought to you by the Our Esquina Podcast Network. And with me is the main man, Jesus Acevedo Jr. Jesus, what's up?
What is up? What is up? How is everybody doing? Thank you guys for tuning in on another Friday morning, afternoon, night, Saturday, Sunday. I'm not sure when you're listening to us, but thank you for listening to us.
Yeah. Whenever you're listening to us.
Thank you. We thank you. But I am doing good, Alex. I'm doing good. I can't complain. I try not to complain anytime, but it's Friday. Well, I mean, we're recording this Thursday, right? But people listening is Friday.
Yeah, if you're listening, hopefully it's Friday. You're off to a good start on your Friday. You're enjoying your Friday night or your weekend. I don't.
Look, it's 5:00 somewhere, so I'm enjoying this Crown Royal whiskey lemonade. It's alright, But if you want to sponsor us, Crown whiskey, we're okay. I'll say this is delicious. It's the greatest thing that's ever entered my
You should have
mouth.
started off with that. Now we won't get the sponsorship.
Now we won't get that's on me. That's on me. Learning, I'm just learning every day.
Started off good. Like, hey, I tried this Crown Royal and it's okay. And it's like, oh well, there goes the ad. There goes the sponsorship.
There goes the ad. Well, maybe they'll improve on the formula. There's something to it. There's something there. Just gotta make some tweaks. Make some tweaks. Kind of like how some teams in the NBA made some tweaks. Before the NBA trade deadline, and those tweaks, the NBA teams are hoping will send them on, further into the playoffs, or help them make the playoffs, or perhaps be that player, that piece that pushes them into the NBA finals. Alex.
Yeah, man. Some teams really need it, and it's just like, oh my god. So I mean, so it was our last episode. We had talked about the trade deadline moves that went down, and I know we talked a lot about what pretty much the big move was the Nets Sixers acquisition trade involving James Harden and Ben Simmons, and I guess to sort of go into this first topic of I guess our biggest question for the second half, per se, is that we want to get into.
Yes,
because now I see the straight face and he's just like,
yes, go for it. And see, that's exactly like I wanted each of us to propose our biggest question heading to the second half of the season, because because the second half of the season, it's almost like a mini season, just like the first half of the season is a mini season. So my question, and I'm glad that you were in the Eastern Conference, because that's exactly where my mind was at for my question, Alex. My biggest question is, how would the Eastern Conference seeding look like at the end of the season? Who's going to be the number one seed? Because as I said last week, this year, the Eastern Conference is just, it feels like it's a dogfight. Like there's from 1 to 10, they're all legitimate good teams. 1 to 6, it's just elite teams right now. I think now as it stands Thursday night, the top 5 teams are separated by 2.5 games. I think the NBA resumed Thursday, so this may change by the time you listeners are hearing this. But still, it's still, that's how close it is. So that's my biggest question is, how will the seeding play out? Because the first and second round of the Eastern Conference, we're gonna have some dogfights in those playoffs. We could have the number one seed. We could have the Bucks going up against the Nets in the first round. The Nets against the Sixers in the first. We just don't know. So I think it's gonna be interesting how it shakes out. And to me, I wonder who's gonna get that number one seed. It's been Chicago, it's been Miami, it was Philly for a while. It's been Cavs, where I think we're hovering there too. So who's gonna ultimately nab that number one seed?
Yeah, man, it's great. I mean, just to before I bring up my question, you look at the Eastern Conference standings as they stand right now, no pun intended. So look at this: the Brooklyn Nets are an 8th seed right now. Just and they're 7.5 games back. From the 1 seed Miami Heat. Look at the Boston Celtics, who are a 6th seed, a game ahead of the Toronto Raptors,
and they're starting to ramp it up. They're starting to get on a roll.
They're 4 games back. You got Philly at 3, Milwaukee at 4, both 2.5 games back. You got Cleveland at the 5th seed, 3 games back. So I mean, it's you even like hell, even the Atlanta Hawks, they're the 10th seed. Like they're just squeaking in to the play-in tournament at sitting at 28 and 30. They're 9.5 games out. So I mean, you figure you got a whole second half of the season left. I mean, like I'm not over here trying to say like the Atlanta Hawks are gonna
Make
jump
another
into the
run.
first seed, right? But I mean, it isn't like because well, I'm trying to think for the sixth seed or just to be out of the playing tournament. It's 9.5 games. Boston's what is it? Boston's 35 and 26. Well, let's put it this way: the Atlanta Hawks are the 10th seed, and they're in striking distance to be out of the playing tournament. Like
Yep.
that's just pretty much how deep the Eastern Conference is. So, I mean, yeah, to your great question. I mean, yeah, it'll be really curious to see, um, just how the Eastern Conference pans out and to swing it over a little bit, actually, my kind of question was, with the Western Conference, I feel like the Phoenix Suns have established themselves as not only the best team in the West, but probably the best team in the NBA. And, kind of going back to the Western Conference specifically, outside of, Phoenix, like who is, I guess, the next big threat, you know, to take
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Phoenix per se. Because now I
It,
feel like there's a little bit they're widening that gap a little bit.
right.
So I'm sort of curious, like, what team could really, you know, make a difference per se.
It's funny your question revolves around the Suns because that was I had like three questions that I was thinking before I picked the one that the about the Eastern Conference seeding. I almost picked the Suns as to see if like are they just gonna keep running away with it and is they, who's their closest competitor, and I feel that's what your question is like
Right.
after the
Yeah.
Suns who is it, and to be honest the easy answer is the Golden State Warriors. That's the easy answer, clearly.
Yeah.
They have had some tough games with them, some blowouts also, but they're the closest team as far as record goes, but also as far as talent. Not talent, but what to do, how what that team is doing with the talent. I think the Golden State Warriors match up really well with the Suns. Um, but they each pick each other's weakness. For the Suns, is DeAndre Ayton goes to work. Even with Draymond Green, Draymond Green's gonna make it tough on them, but Aiton, it's a different look that the Warriors aren't used to defending, but because there are not that many great centers like Aiton and good centers. But to me, that's the easy choice. But I'm gonna give you a sneaky one: the Memphis Grizzlies.
I actually like that.
The
I
Memphis
actually really
Grizzlies,
like that.
and for two reasons: Ja Moran. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
No, he's a difference maker. But look, not everybody praises John Moran, and rightfully so. But man, they have such a solid team over there. They have such a
yeah.
young core of players that have learned how to win
Hmm.
together. They haven't made any big offseason acquisitions. The Grizzlies built this team from the ground up, and it started with John Moran. I don't know if he was the first one drafted from them, but he was the second one of that nucleus that they have. So I'll say Golden State Warriors, but I think my true pick is the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay. I feel that, and and honestly, I agree because I feel like when you look at the rest of the West, um, Utah sitting in the fourth seed, they're 36 and 22. They're already 12 and a half games back of the Phoenix Suns. So just for comparison, the Milwaukee's the fourth seed in the East, and they're only 2.5 games, and they're tied with Philly at that. So it's kind of crazy just how like the East and the West have sort of flipped, where
Yep.
now the Western Conference is very top heavy, and then it kind of dips off after you know Memphis, and then you look at the East and the top six seeds, like they're all within, or I'm sorry, seven, the top seven teams in the East, they're all within like 5 games of each
Mhm.
other, which is insane. So I mean, back to my original question, which was pretty much, who is it outside of Phoenix in the West? And, I'm kind of right there with you where, yes, Golden State's the easy answer, sitting at the 2 seed. They've battled in their matchups this season, but you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, they're young. They got a nice young core, and they're sitting at, was it 41 and 19?
41 and
So, I mean,
19.
Right. So as long as they can stay healthy, I mean, I know John Moran actually I think went down with an injury tonight as well. So hopefully
Mm.
that isn't anything too serious. But that would be a big blow for them if he's out long term. But I mean, regardless, I think probably Memphis is that next team that could really shake things up in the West.
One team that I believe is not going to shake nothing in the Western Conference, and is my prediction for the second half of the season. My bold prediction, and perhaps it's this Crown whiskey that now I'm starting to feel it. You get that little liquor aftertaste. So I'm gonna take one more sip before I take this next bold prediction. So Crown whiskey, I'm coming around to your whiskey lemonade, Crown Royal.
He's really trying to like make up for like the sponsorship
I
blunder
definitely
that he
am.
had earlier. He's trying so hard.
My bold prediction, I guess you could call it a hot take if you want, is that the
Okay.
LA Lakers will not make it past the play-in tournament. That is
Okay.
my bold prediction. They are not going to get past the play-in tournament. I just don't see them getting it together to make a deep playoff run. Now, had the Lakers made some tweaks, like how I think this Crown Royal Whiskey Limited can use some
Oh
tweaks
my.
before the trade deadline, we're having a different conversation. Just some tweaks. That's all they needed. But as they are currently constructed, I don't see them making a run. Now, look, I could be completely wrong. I mean, after all, they have some guy named LeBron James, and he's pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
But look, LeBron and the Lakers right now aren't really seeing eye to eye. More so Pelinka, the Rob Pelinka, the general manager. They aren't exactly seeing eye to eye at the moment. Bleacher Reports, Eric Pincus reported that according to multiple NBA sources, Clutch, who represents LeBron, is not happy with Pelinka, and that unhappiness reached a further level when Pelinka refused to trade Russell Westbrook and a 2027 first round pick to the Houston Rockets for Clutch client John Wall.
Mm.
If they make that deal,
Yeah.
I think the Lakers could have probably made a finals run with John Wall. I think he's
Mm.
a missing piece that they needed that can run the offense, and he's a better shooter than Russell Westbrook. He's a better passer than Russell Westbrook. Um, so I feel had they made a move, or even not even that, maybe they make, instead of John Wall, they trade for Aaron Gordon and don't give up the 2027 pick. I feel like they needed something else. So I feel like, as everybody can say, the Westbrook experiment just hasn't worked. So
Yeah.
that's my one bold prediction for the second half of the season.
Okay. That's interesting. I honestly just me, I was never really super high on John Wall. For the most part, I mean, I think he's a solid player. Has been a good player in his career. But like even with Washington, like when Bradley Beal came around, I was just like, yo, I think Bradley Beal is gonna surpass John Wall as
And
being the guy.
and he is. And here's the thing, maybe I should say this, because I feel John Wall, he was gonna be the third best guy. Because it was gonna be LeBron, AD, and then John Wall. So
Yeah.
this will be,
Okay.
pressure is just completely off him. It's like, bro, just go do what you do. We know within,
True.
it's because
Well,
in Washington he was the guy. Even when
yeah.
Bradley Beal got there, he was still the guy. So right now it's just like, hey, we just need you to be the third best guy, and you can do that.
True. I just being devil's advocate, even though the
Yeah.
pressure isn't necessarily on him to be the guy. I think there's still, the pressure or expectation per se. I think that might be a better word to say, hey, you're pretty much picking up the slack, the void that, Russell Westbrook,
Right, right.
um, left with the team. So it's like, hey, you're coming in, you may not be the guy, but you pretty much got to pick up the slack that Russell Westbrook wasn't doing because he wasn't playing bad. So you better be playing better than
Right.
him if you want to make an impact. So, but regardless, trade didn't go
It
down. We'll
didn't happen.
see in the off season if that's something the Lakers end up pursuing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think just with the roster right now that the Lakers have, I kind of I'm with you there where I don't really see them really making any type of run in the postseason. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they may make the playing tournament. I think they got enough to throw their head in the ring, but I don't think they do much with it.
Yeah. So
And
so what's
yeah,
your one bold prediction
so
for the second half of the
I
season?
know, yeah, yeah. I almost forgot that I needed to have one. So I I almost went with the Lakers, and I'm glad you kind of just took it took it off my hands, so I don't gotta worry about it. But I'll roll with the East now, and I actually say that I think Philly could make a deep run. I don't know if that's like a bold
Ooh.
prediction, but I think Philly could make some rumblings in the East. So I mean, let's just get the formalities out the way. Joel Embiid having an MVP caliber year, like there's no secret to that. Like it's just dudes balling out, and the league is taking notice how he was balling out last year. If he hadn't gotten hurt, might have won MVP as well. They just added this guy named James Harden, who I think might do pretty well. I think he's a solid player. So that's I think any team would love to have a guy like him on their team. And Philly, got their guy finally after all the drama with the Ben Simmons stuff per se. But outside of that, you look at I think you got Tobias Harris, you got Tyrese Maxey, you got Matisse Thybulle, you got Paul Millsap that they just got in the Ben Simmons trade as well. So you also got oh my god, what's his name? Shake Milton, I
Mm.
believe. Two guards. So I think that's bench depth that you get with Philly as well. So overall, I think Philly can be a scary team come postseason. I think.
They
Go,
are.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Sorry.
they were no. I was gonna just jump in and say that was my second bold prediction that I had on my list before I whittled it down to the Lakers was I think the Philadelphia 76ers can make a finals run. So I'm
Yeah.
right there with you. I believe you know because the thing is when we look at this trade, the Nets traded away a player that was playing for them. Well, I
Yeah.
guess you could argue he wasn't really playing for them if you want to get technical, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean. But the Philadelphia 76ers traded a player that wasn't playing for them. So the 76ers know how to play already without Ben Simmons. They proved that. So it's all they have to do is just incorporate James Harden
Yeah.
to the lineup. And I think people are making a big deal about that James Harden has never played with the post player of Joel Embiid's caliber, and how is his game going to translate? Look, I think James Harden, he's 32. He's at that age where he wants to. He doesn't need to be the guy. He wants to win a title.
Yeah.
That's what he was, and he knows that Joel Embiid's going to lead him there. And I think he's going to take a back seat. He's going to feed the ball to Joel Embiid. But like, I'm here whenever it's
And,
not there for
and people forget
Joel.
that James Harden can kind of pass too.
I hate that people were like when he was a Berkeley. Oh, he learned how to pass. He led the league in assists whenever Mike D'Antoni was coach. He was like he
Right.
played a point guard. But no, going back to James Harden, one of the reasons that one of the reports said when the trade went down is that James Harden he wanted to go play with Joel Embiid because Joel Embiid is still chasing that first title. So there's more of a hunger there than a hunger with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Not that they don't want to win a title, but they've already
Right.
won it.
Yeah.
So the itch isn't as like if I don't scratch it, it's okay. I already scratched it twice or once for Kyrie. Joel Embiid's never scratched that itch.
Right.
He wants it. He
Hmm.
wants to scratch that so bad. And so James Harden, he sympathized with that because he wants that. That's what he wants. So I
Right. He's
think
in the same boat.
he's in the same boat. Exactly. So I'm right there with you. I think the 76ers, and we're gonna call it the Basketball Fiends guarantee. The 76ers are gonna make a finals run. I'm saying it because we're both in agreement.
I said they make a deep run because there's another team in the East that I think could make
Okay.
another deep
Can we
run as
say
well.
can we say Basketball Fiends guaranteed the 76ers to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I'm willing to say that. I'm willing to say
Okay.
that. Definitely
It's
willing to
on
say that.
record. Stamp it. Put the stamp of approval.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm cool with
Because I
that.
mean, to me, that's what deep playoff run means, right? It has to be
Yeah.
the finals of the conference or the actual finals.
Right.
Because first or second round, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Right.
it's good for you. Good for you. But it's not deep. We're talking about deep,
Right. And
but
I feel
it
like
can hurt deep.
exactly. And I feel like one more point that I want to make with Philly that I was doing a very bad job of was that Philly has had the playoff heartbreaks. All right. We all saw what happened in Toronto.
Mm,
Game 7 with Kawhi, the shot, just seeing the ball bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4.
that
You're
was tough.
literally just
That was tough.
seconds, bounces, not even just
That was
bounces
tough.
to move on to the Eastern Conference, finals. It was like finally the process is getting there. I mean, we're getting through this grueling game 7, and finally we might be able to pull it off, and it doesn't work out. So Philly, I mean, not that anyone likes to lose, but they know what it feels like,
Mhm.
to be like right there on the cusp of taking that next step, and they didn't. And I feel like now having that under their belt, it's like, okay, we really know what it takes to win in the playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
it genuinely is a whole new season. So, and you bring up a really good point of them learning how to play with Ben Simmons. It's just a matter of bringing James Harden into the fold. With that, it's they can be a really scary team
Mhm.
uh moving into the postseason. So yeah, man, we'll see how it goes. But you know who's not gonna be in the postseason?
Who?
Juwan Howard. We're just
Juwan
making this like
Howard.
we're just making this. Well, what I take that back. He actually may come back for like the Big Ten tournament, and if Michigan is in the NCAA tournament. But we're switching gears a little bit to college basketball because that man Juwan Howard, former NBA player, former NBA champion, current head coach. Well, I mean, not as of right now because he's suspended.
Well, no, he's still the
I mean,
head
he's still
coach.
the head
He's
coach, but he won't be on the floor.
yeah.
So technically, like he is the head coach, but he won't be the head coach
Just
of the
he just
Michigan
got a
Wolverines.
5-game suspension. No big deal, just
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about this. So James Harden like shoved a
wait.
Wisconsin coach's face. Like
Juwan Howard. Juwan Howard. You said James Harden. If it was James Harden, that would have been a real big story.
oh, I did say James Harden.
You said James
Damn,
Harden.
Juwan Howard. Jeez, because we were just talking about James Harden.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Juwan Howard, he shoved the dude's face, and there was a scuffle, and yeah, I mean, shit happened,
So
but
yeah, Michigan basketball coach Juwan Howard. At the end of the game in college basketball, well, at least before the pandemic, it was kind of tradition. Teams just kind of like, shake hands. You get into the shake up line, say, "Hey, good game," and coaches, good game. So, but when COVID happened, the pandemic, which we're still in the pandemic, some conferences went away from it, and
yeah,
they just haven't done it. And then some have brought it back. The Big Ten is one of the ones that brought it back. And in Sunday's game, it was Michigan if against Wisconsin. So Juwan Howard and Wisconsin assistant coach Joe Krabenhoft was that who it was? Uh, so
sorry,
they're
I was sneezing and I muted my mic.
well, may God bless you, sir. But
Thank you.
yes, it was so Michigan basketball coach Juwan Howard and Wisconsin assistant coach Joe Krabenhoft. They were at the line. What was it? The assistant coach or the head coach?
He was an assistant. He
I
wasn't the
said,
head
yeah,
coach.
that's
He
what I
was
said.
an assistant.
Assistant, yeah, that's what I thought. So Juwan Howard doesn't want to talk to him. He's trying to walk past him. Joel kind of puts his hand on his arm and kind of grabs him. He's like, "Wait, I want to talk to you." And then from there, Juwan Howard kind of lost it a bit. Let's
Yeah,
be fair. And he's come out and said that he's apologized, but he grabbed him by the collar, and then they started getting into a scuffle, and then players
yeah,
separated them, and then Juwan Howard using his length that did him well in the NBA, that
yeah,
arm length, using that arm length, he said, "What did the hand say to the face? Slap." He
right.
just got him a good slap, not a punch. That was definitely not a punch. I
No,
know
it was
people were trying to frame it as a punch. That is not a punch. That was
no,
a slap. That was a
right.
slap. That was one of those wrestling slaps. Did
Hmm.
you ever wrestle with your cousins or friends and you guys used to like just play like slap each other like if it was wrestling? Those hurt. Those hurt.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I thought about it. It was like a wrestling slap. Like
Right. And so yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, look, the suspension was gonna happen. Like, you just don't do that, as a head coach, especially at the collegiate level. You're there to, lead young men, into their lives, and to react like that. Granted, like, I'm not necessarily mad that Jawan Howard reacted to it, because hey, like, if someone grabs you by the arm, I mean, I'm gonna be kind of mad about that. And then, but I found it kind of weird for him to say like he felt like, not that he was in danger or whatever. Like, felt I needed to defend myself. I'm like, dude, you're 7 foot. Like, you're fine. Like,
yeah, yeah,
you'll be straight, unless that assistant coach has this fighting background that no one has ever heard of, and he can whoop
yeah.
anybody as he pleases. Like, he would have been fine. So it's like, hey, I have no problem with Juwan Howard not being happy about the situation, but to, escalate things and not to put the assistant coach's name. I'm already blanking on his name. It doesn't, I guess, get him out of the woods to say like he escalated the situation as well, because obviously he grabbed Juwan's Howard, initiated it. He obviously said something that Juwan Howard didn't like, and then as they got separated even more, he said something even more so that pissed him off, that pushed him to that point where he felt the need to engage with him in that manner. So I mean, there's wrong on both sides for sure, but um at the end of the day, Jawan Howard in a position that he is as a collegiate head coach just can't do that. He's got to be able to, keep his cool in a situation like that. Like, yes, you can get in a screaming match, whatever like that. But yeah, no, you can't be just shoving dudes' faces or whatever. So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. It happened.
And it's tough because I like him as a coach. He's trying
Yeah.
to return the Michigan program to prominence. They've had a couple good seasons. Haven't had that deep playoff March Madness run yet.
Oh,
But
well,
they've had.
I think they went to the Elite Eight last year.
Was that
So
last year?
they
Oh,
got, yeah,
that was. Oh, it was last year. Oh my God.
yeah,
See, I already forgot. I feel like it's been so long. But see, so that goes to my point. He's a good coach. Like he is
yeah.
a good coach, which just makes you know puts all that in the back burner because now all people will think about is this lab. So hopefully he
Right.
comes back and he's able to lead Michigan another deep playoff run this March, which we're gonna have a March Madness episode coming up. Which is next week. It's already March. Woo!
Oh,
2022 is going.
yeah. Flying.
It's flying. You know who made his name in collegiate basketball and in the March Madness tournament was one Kemba Walker. Kemba
Cardiac
Walker.
Kemba.
Cardiac Kemba.
Remember that game too.
I remember that game. UConn when he pulled back, he just
Hmm.
yeah, that was good. I saw that game. That was. But Kemba Walker, we're talking about Kemba Walker
Right.
because the New York Knicks and Kemba Walker have agreed to have the veteran Kemba Walker. He's gonna be sidelined for the remainder of the team's schedule for the remainder of the season, Alex. Essentially, so he can work out in preparation for next season. And look, let me just say, I have to put up my hand and say I'm an idiot because I 100% believe Kemba Walker was gonna be a good fit in New York. I
Yeah.
thought they were just made for each other. Kemba's from New York, so he was like he's
Hmm.
coming back to elevate the Knicks further than they were last season, which that's another thing I have to say. I thought the Knicks were gonna have a better season. Like I thought they were gonna level up, and they
Yep.
leveled down.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, so Kemba Walker is out for the rest of the season. What's interesting is that ESPN's agent Wojnarowski reported on Thursday's NBA Today that if Walker and the Knicks were to facilitate a buyout, there would be many teams interested in Walker. But Kemba is not interested in that. Walsh stated that Walker is just completely focused on getting ready for next season. Like he's not concerned about joining with the title contending team right now. He's just laser focused on next season. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm kind of mad because I wanted this to work out for both the Kemba
Yeah.
Walker and the Knicks.
Yeah. I've like, I felt like the Knicks didn't really give it a chance to work per se. Like because I remember he had gotten benched pretty early on in the season, and then when he came
Yeah,
back, he actually came out pretty hot and was
yeah.
having like, really good games, because I know like Derrick Rose is out as well, and he was able to come off the benching or whatever and show like why he was there, and then from there things just sort of fizzled once again. But yeah, I felt like he never really got a chance to find his footing. In New York, it was just like, I don't know if New York had like this absurd expectation, like, all right, you're gonna come in, ball out, we're gonna be pretty much
Ball out.
right, he was pretty much gonna ball out, and the Knicks were pretty much gonna be in like the Bulls position or something. I don't know, uh, but yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, and I really like Kemba Walker as a player. I love when he was at Charlotte. I mean, I know everyone fell in love with him, with that run he made at UConn. But yeah, it's just, I think it's an unfortunate situation where he didn't really get, I think, that true opportunity to, really make an impact with the Knicks. And I find it, kind of interesting that, uh, like, it doesn't surprise me that there's interest from other teams, to Adam. I think wherever he would end up, he'll be a nice addition to any team. I mean, we thought that with the Knicks, and it
Yeah,
didn't work out or whatever. But even for a contending team, like, hey, like Kemba Walker, like that's a nice little pickup. But I think just how the situation unfolded, he's like, you know what, let me take the time to improve my game and come back, an even better player, that I was in Charlotte, where I was the guy. So I think it's an interesting route that he's taking, but I think it's one that uh is gonna better himself.
definitely. Definitely. So I have a feeling he's gonna come back strong next season. He's gonna join with the team that he feels he can play and make an impact for it. So I think he'll come back. I think kind of miss watching him play. I know with Boston also he kind of had some, it just didn't work out.
Yeah,
But yeah. But that was the last topic on this edition, our 48th, excuse me,
yeah,
48th episode of the Basketball Fiends. Two more, we crossed the 50th episode mark, Alex. We're almost there. Two more. Two
yeah,
more. We
man.
can do
That
it.
50 milestone. What's the so like I know 75 like with NBA it's like diamond. So what is 50? What's that like?
Ooh, that's
What's
a
the
good question.
gemstone
What's the
thing?
what's the
Whatever. What like what? I don't know. Like what is it? Like like I
um
don't know.
I'm
I'm
asking my best
just
friend Google.
nice. I'm just like I don't know what else to call like gemstone year. I don't know.
Maybe,
I
I
know
don't know.
75 is the diamond year. What's the 50 year?
Mm, traditional. I don't know. Ah, who cares?
Whatever rock that is,
Whatever it
that's
was.
what whatever it is, that's what we'll probably figure it out
We'll figure it out.
when
But
we
yeah,
actually hit
so
50.
so put the yeah, let us get there, right? Let's not be
Right.
premature about this. We have to
Hmm.
get there. We have to do the work. We have two more episodes. And I'm
Yep.
glad because I feel like last episode, we were I think the basketball was kind of just about to go into the All-Star break, right?
Yeah.
And now we're again starting back the season. So next week we'll have some actual more games to talk about. And who knows? Well, the buyout market is still out there, so that can still
True.
make some things interesting. So yeah. But listeners, thank you so much for joining us for this 48th episode. Don't forget to subscribe. See ya.
Deuces.